Dear friends, I hope you had an enjoyable lunch, and I'm sure we will make everything possible so that you hear me better. Oh, they should have longer thing anyway. We will make every effort to make sure that you don't fall asleep in the next hour. Before we start with the report back from the working table, which I am sure will be extremely interesting, I would like to welcome a few people that we haven't saluted yesterday, either because we forgot them or because they have arrived late. So I would like to welcome Jens Johnson from Sweden. The president of the Greek Bank, Food Bank Foundation, Mr. Panagis Vorloumis. He's there, already asleep. Then we have representative of the corporate sector, and I will mention them because there are quite a few of them, so please allow me not to mention every single name of every single, but we just say Kellogg is among us, a very long time associate of FEBA. The retailing industry is represented as with the round table. Carrefour, Metro, Lidl, Nestlé, Pricewaterhouse Corporation, Costa Crociere, Feder Congressi, the Red Cross, Carrefour Foundation, and Caritas. Welcome to all of you. I leave the floor to Angela because I can't understand what she tells me. Okay.
Sorry. Just now we will listen to the moderators of the different working tables, and so it's important, especially for the presidents of the different food banks, is that the feedback from the working tables will feed the president's meeting that is going to take place after this session. So please be active, listen to what the moderators are going to share with us, because then it will be your turn to think about the strategy and to share ideas. So it's very important that you are active now and also later in the president's meeting.
Thank you, Angela. So who is the first moderator?
Emma Walsh, retail sector.
Emma Walsh. Please come and present the works of your group.
Okay. So thank you very much. Can I see my slides? Or yeah, okay, great. So first of all, our group was on. Do I need to stand a bit closer? Yeah, okay, better. Okay, great. Can you hear me? Understanding me will be a separate thing, so. And I know you're all very tired. So thank you so much to my group. Our group was on the retail sector, and we had a fantastic mixture of food banks, so federations and also small food banks in countries where food banking is developing. And then we were delighted to be joined with, I think, over the 2 days, 5 different representatives from the retail sector. And also we had Anne-Laure Gassan from the EU. So it was brilliant collaboration. So we saw that in general, there are lots of opportunities for working with the retail sector in food banking. And Marco told us to reach for the sky. So this is what we have in terms of a picture here. We think that, you know, there's lots we can do in terms of the ongoing engagement in redistribution, and that's definitely a win-win solution. But we can also work with the retail sector to build awareness of what the food banks do, and also to work with issues that we have around consumers' understanding of food waste. And a big thing that we discussed both when we talked about the EU guidelines on the first day was actually consumers' lack of understanding around dates is a problem for us at a food bank level, because it actually limits us in redistributing food past its best before dates. That was really interesting. We can also organise food collections, and we can also gain access to the supply chain. And we've seen loads of examples of building capacity in food banks through our interaction with the retail sector. There's also challenges. So in some countries, we have fantastic engagement with the retail sector. But in some countries, we're seeing that the retailers actually say, we're not obliged to donate food for you. They're not interested. They say, we don't do this. So there can be a lot of bureaucracy. The process is extremely important. We need to build capacity in the charity sector as well to, I suppose, take this food. We face challenges around picking up all of the food. And we also see that, like in my colleague in the picture there, there's often too much bread. And it can be difficult as well to work with franchisors. So these were some of the challenges. So with that in mind, our group was extremely busy, and we put together 3 goals. And Angela, you'll be happy to know that the first goal is really easy. I would say it's a no-brainer, because most of this is already in progress. So our first goal is to coordinate agreements at a FEBA level across all of the leading national and European chains to create long-lasting partnerships. So we want a commitment, and we put a target in because we want action, so we're targeted. So commitment from all retailers in 2 years' time to work with FEBA members. That's the first thing, right? And then our actions are, we want to map all of the FEBA members already working with retailers. We want to create case studies and best practice and process guidelines that we can share with them, and we've already started doing skill sharing sessions. Do you like how I said that properly that time, Angela? And then finally, we want to disseminate the EU guidelines to the retail sector. So these are really easy to do. There's lots of things already well underway there, and this is a huge opportunity for a continuous source of food for the food banking network. Goal 2 is bigger. It's a little bit bigger. So we want FEBA to deepen the relationships that we have with the retail sector by consulting and coordinating European projects so that we can work together towards achieving SDG 12.3. Now, what does that all mean? We want to change our role from just having ad hoc donations or having, lower levels of engagement to being a trusted advisor and partner of the retail sector. And how are we going to do that? We're going to work together on initiatives. So we want to start off with one project around best before dates. We want the EU to fund it, and we want to work together with the retail sector to educate consumers and to support our operations through education around best before dates. And initiatives like this, where we're collaborating in, I suppose, a very, more consultative way, actually being strategic around food waste, we think can really help us, because it increases that awareness of best before dates that we spoke about and helps us to move more food. But it also creates that roundtable piece where we're working with the EU, we're tackling food waste, we're engaging with industry, and we're also solving some of the big problems around consumer food waste. The final goal, I think, maybe isn't as specific to the retail sector, but this is blue sky thinking. So we got to talking about there's a lot of surplus food products that we actually can't deal with, and we have difficulty redistributing. But we certainly think that the role of the food banks is sometimes undervalued, and we do so much in terms of value delivery. We have such important information and insights in terms of what's happening around food waste and surplus. So we think that there's a real role for FEBA members and the issue of food waste, and we can engage with social enterprises to help them to understand this problem, and that we can also create opportunities for, I suppose, social enterprises around this sources of surplus and innovation. So we think that there's a role for us there. We'd like to map existing processes or projects. We'd like to connect entrepreneurs to the food banking network. And we want to do things now. We had an idea, this maybe isn't the right one for today, but we had an idea that next year when we do the toast for the new members, it could be from beer that FEBA has collaborated with the social enterprise sector to make from surplus bread. Or we have a breadcrumb factory. So this is real, think big, and we want to innovate, and we understand this space. So thank you very much to the team. So If the retail team would just like to stand up for a minute so you can pick their brains as well. So thank you so much. It's been really engaging. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Emma, for these most inspiring proposals. I think the prediction that we will have to multiply the staff by 3 and find new resources is starting to take shape. The next one? Laura Gavinelli. Welcome.
So here behind the column, there's a very nice girl with the minutes and time management. Let you see. That's why we are so good in respecting the time. And so I spent 20 seconds. Good afternoon, thank you very much. And now we go straight to our table, which was about reputation in corporates. Quite huge topic, I would say. First of all, I want to thank warmly all the participants. We were numerous, but above all, well equipped, because we had 1 manufacturer, 2 retailers, 14 food banks, and another player, which was PwC, of course. So thanks to all of you, and plus 4 magic interpreters. So 4 girls, helping us to understand and to translate from English to Portuguese. Thank you to all of you. What we did some theory, 30 minutes, and that was all, but it was useful just to zoom towards the actions. So the first part of our work was about what we all meant for reputation. So it was a matter maybe of a brand, or CSR, or of something else. So that's why we try to get aligned on this polysemic concept. Then we related reputation to some trend topics, thinking about also to long-term efforts, to the issue of awareness, of perceptions, not only of internal perception, but above all of external perception, what the other thinks about us. That was the point. And we talk about also reputation related to external influence, so the environment, which might be positive, but in some cases also negative, bringing some mediatic crisis, so reputational risks. And then we went through this process, and we got to the goals and the actions. We summarized through a very rich and intense discussion 2 challenges. So I've got 2 slides, main slides, to show you and to comment. The first one is coming from the strategic group. It is about good reputation, because we know there is also bad reputation, so it can be a problem. How to raise it, how to maintain it, how to augment a good reputation. And so we distributed our discussion to 3 levels: goals, actions, and needs. So the goals are social media strategies, how to implement a sound, consistent, and long-term social media strategies, and how to maintain integrity, which is a key part of your reputation. As for the actions, we considered to share with FEBA a common strategy, so to have a common intent, and above this, to imply the strategy in a local context, to improve a local strategy. So to analyze also and standardize processes, to keep control on what happens, and to measure results, but also to identify gaps in order to improve better, to do better and better along the time. To learn from other practices, so to benchmark some cases from other countries, and to promote cross-fertilization. And the 4th action is about organizing some events, PR events, improving and involving other, let's say so, organizations, so the members, the donors, but also new comers coming from public sectors, associations, profit and non-profit fields. The needs. So to start working on that from Monday on until 2 years or even more, the needs are this one: to share with FEBA unique brand identity, and a good example might be the model very often adopted by multinational companies. So to have a, let's say so, a brand umbrella, and below that play in a local, more contextualized way in order to strengthen the typicalities of the local context. Then the group identified some gaps in the professional competencies. It's a huge challenge, and so they need some professionals devoted to these specific actions. And also, once again, more support by FEBA in running EU projects, in delivering social media campaigns, and in doing some advocacy. Oh, yellow ticket. It's a bad news. No, the second challenge is more about the implementation of actions. So we had a strategic group, and the second group were more devoted to actions, projects, programs. And in this case, they identified 2 targets: schools and HoReCa, value chain. In the first, you can read A, the first target, B, the second one. For the first one, schools, they would like to organize games from time to time with schools, just to, let's say so, teach how to reduce food waste. And then food day event with many stakeholders, an award, just to give an incentive, titled "The less you waste, the more you win." While for the operators, it would be opportune to organize some training, specific training, to get to more results, so to make efficiency in their operations. And in that case, they would need from FEBA some support in terms of materials, knowledge, training, but also in clarifying the legal framework in terms of lobbying activity, and also in more information. That's the last slide, or more or less. I ask to my participants to stand up, just to thank them, please. Okay. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful journey, and I would like to share with you our motto. It was our inspiring motto, and this is one: we are FEBA, we move the change, we feed the change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Most inspiring moments again. My colleagues of the President's meeting, I trust you have your ears open and your wallets as well. The next intervention is from Laura Gibertoni, who we have met before a couple of days ago. And please go forward with your report.
Thank you, President. Thank you, everybody. I'll make, okay, here we are. I present the food service table, and we title our work as Food Service and Food Bank Reloaded. What we've done today and yesterday was to rethink to a new model to think about the relationship between food banks and companies. Our team was made by myself, Sylvie, Stefania, Heon, Christopher, Veronica, Judith, Alessia, Federica. And we came from different sectors and charity realities, and this allowed us to combine all the needs of companies and food banks. And thanks to this melting pot, we understand that we have an important future in front of us, made of a lot of challenges. For example, religious matters are more and more important and present in our life and on our over our tables. Different habits means different diets. More and more women at work, that means specific food needs. And in parallel, a silver economy growing. And more tourists in cities. Who will feed this kind of people and business at the same time? Big cities. And the increasing of food delivery. That means less time for cooking and less space in flats. So new habits for all of us. New jobs, because someone will lose its historical jobs, but someone else will start a new professional life. So risk and opportunities. Smart working is a very impressive word nowadays. Digitalization and robotization, as Tobias showed us yesterday, is already a present situation. And then, speaking about food service, the future will be made by central kitchen, large kitchen, that will be ghost. Because a lot of us are have not the consciousness of this big kitchen that already produce and serve a lot of meals every day in the restaurants and in our canteens. That means more equipment and more professionalization. And discussing about this overview, we realized that due to the increased efficiency of food business, that's the good news, there could be less surplus food donated, the bad news. How can we face this aspect? For this reason, we realized the challenge number one for food service is create new viable food sources. For example, exploring new sources of surplus food through the circular economy. We would like to consider both food industry and agriculture, and then share best practices between FEBA members. What we realize in these 2 days is that we have to work together, share, and leverage the best solutions. Goals number 2, identify the optimal remaining surplus that exists in spite of increased efficiency. It's important for us to share best practices between FEBA and the food industry. Make a lot of survey research. We need data, we need technology to understand. And then pilot, test, refine, and share solutions globally in a smart and quick way. The time is important. We have no time, but we have to use in a wise way our time, our competencies, and our working together. Goals number 3, engage all the stakeholders. We say that law exists and is made to be broken, someone in Ireland says. But law are important, are the guarantee of our work. For this reason, law must be evaluated in time. Law guarantee give us authorization. It's important, the fiscalization of. And action number 2 is again make pilot test, refine, share solution globally in a smart and quick way. And in general, it's important to leverage solution. For example, we would like to ask specific European FEBA tables during the year to share knowledge. We have identified a second challenge due to the logistic cost in the food recovery. In our opinion, it's important to create a new cost-efficient business model in the food service supply chain. The goal number 1, explore and identify the added value food banks can provide throughout the supply chain. Added value. Food is a value. People who work with food are value. Action. Research parallels at European level and create a live EU program. Another goals. Become more professional. How? Trainings to improve the soft and hard skills. Increase the number of food technologists and dietitians inside the food banks, and introduce change management as personal and professional evolution. Because food must be safety, tasty, healthy, and well balanced. It's not enough to say food or donate food. How is this food good for every one of us? Because poor people, are person, are individual. And we have to donate food with respect. Goal number 3, provide more qualitative service. How? Through investments in digital technology, trainings. Technology can help us. It's not the ultimate objective, but technology can help us a lot. Action number 2, provide balanced food for everyone. And again, leverage solutions together. We summarize the work with this infographic. That means that food banks, in our opinion, could be an added value service provider, a real part of the business model of the supply chain. So we need a shift of mind and consider food banks as an integral part of the business model. And with this infographic, I thank you, and I would like to thank the group of food service. I ask my colleagues to stand up to share together this moment, please. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Laura. Well done. We now welcome Fabio Fraticelli for his report.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here representing the table about data collection. We finally did it, all right? So thank you, guys. The aim of our table was to fostering an efficient way for improving the way in which we collect data. You know, every year food banks are required to upload data about what's going on in their own countries. We already have a method to do that, but we were looking for a way to improve the way in which we do that. So we were interested and focused in finding a way to collect data in a reliable and most of all comparable way across the different countries. And starting from this, we tried to collect a set of actions that maybe can help to moving forward in this direction. So participants were really interested into the topic, proactive, they helped a lot in doing this, so thank you to everybody. And after several hours of discussion and a tentative to find the right way, we finally produced this. So we started, this is not the blank slide. All right? We started to the situation as is, you know, so then we tried to focus on needs, okay? And we drew down a list of different, I know it's small because we are not that sure about the content, so we put it here. No, okay, I'll try to read it. We tried to condense in one slide because it's tentative of making a systemic vision. We are you're more than welcome to receive this kind of content. I mean, but basically, if there is someone among you that is dealing with data collection, probably you know that we have some issues with category trees, and maybe we are missing some categories that other actors like FAO are using right now. The time spent, so the timing of the production of the data, it's not totally aligned with the local operations of local food banks. For example, some food banks have operates using the fiscal year, right? While the data are required in another time span, a calendar year. So there are some issues. And also the quantity of versus quality of food is another issue. So we mostly ask about quantity, but maybe we can integrate with more information about nutrition or things like that. Maybe we can work on the definition of the supply chain segments. It's not that clear, so maybe there is something we can do. And most of all, we found that there is apparently, a systematic revision of the system. So basically, there is not a process in the field aimed at revisioning the system of data collection that we are using right now. There is a bit too much interpretation in what do we mean by meals on food or things. And data, most of all, this is the point number 10, data are not as useful to members as it could be, all right? So basically, it's not that it wasn't that clear why we are, as local food banks, we are giving data to this system. Please, timing. Okay. So at the same time, as you know, local countries are collecting data for their own goals. And there are three main reasons why these countries are collecting data. We found that some reasons are internal, so we want to make what we are doing right now better, more efficiently, basically. There are some external reasons, so we are interested into understanding better the context, what is going on there, what is the potential, what are the threats. And third, we want to use data, and we try as local countries to use data to drive strategies to increase the impact. So to have a development of our organizations and a step forward in our mission. So starting from these limitations and reason why, we try to define a very broad long-term vision about what we would like FEBA will consider in the next years as a priority to develop a dynamic data collection system. Dynamic means that can change over the time according to feedbacks that we give to the system. For measuring KPIs that drives FEBA, its members, and its stakeholders, right? Of course, we are not doing this just because we like it or because we love numbers. I mean, I love numbers, but that's not the reason why we want to do this, but because we want to be more and more focused on mission, right? So, starting from this, we try to make something more feasible, more understandable, and we split this long-term vision, big goals into mid-term goals, all right? There are 5 mid-term goals that basically say that we want to better synchronize the way in which data are produced locally and that data are required at a global level. We want to be sure that what is the state of the art. We understood during these 2 days that there is a lot in the network already in place that we can use, so it's very important to move forward in that. And we want to be sure that these data are reliable. And of course, we think it's important to improve the system of data entry and collection. So starting from these midterm goals, timing, 7 minutes, right? We tried to define a list of actions, and we divided these actions in 3 main groups, okay? First, Angela, this is a good news. Action number 1, creating a stable working group. Larger members' participation is very important. Others welcome, of course, but that's a very key point for us. Plus, finding an appropriate body of data analysis, maybe academics. I discouraged this as an academic, but someone in the group proposed this. Don't know why. Plus identification, finding a project manager, someone that takes care of this process. That's very important. So try to do this as a working team, okay, in a stable way, with a project manager and someone that can help in understanding what is going on right now. So starting from this, we selected a second group of actions, 4 actions. First of all, we would like to start from the analysis of the 2018 data, okay? So what we collected this year. We would like to address through this stable working group the reliability of this data and make possibly new sense out of it, okay? So trying to see what's going on out there right now. Second, action number 3, pardon, we would like to share 2018 data analysis during the conventions, okay? I mean, in the future, we would like that those data are used in the whole convention and not only during the General Assembly. We think this is very important. Is a feedback also in terms of why people should push data into the system. Of course, we would like to share this meaning, this new understanding of data with the network, and we would like to use this data to define the 2020 annual convention topics. So our idea is to use this data as a starting point. I mean, we know that there is some time gap, but we would like to use this data as a starting topic. So the ideal word will be to close these actions by the end of the year. So we would like to use this data to define next annual convention topics. Third group, assessing how each country is dealing with data collection, what they are collecting, how and what they could collect and what they couldn't. Try to sync the FEBA's information system, information needs with the members' needs. And last, defining a common base of KPIs and underlying data in order to have a common language. So a common taxonomy to describe what is going on out there and what is our impact as a network. Okay? We are fully available for discussing it. So for now, I just would like to, and I ask to the team members to just stand up. So thank you, guys. I was personally impressed, and I'm really grateful because really I remember your words, Jack. We did this together, and this is the greatest gift I could receive from this convention. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fabio. I now would like to call Immaculada Matteo Buendia to give a report back on the works of the working table where I was involved. Please, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. Firstly, I would like to thank all participants who have taken part of the working table advocacy with the European institution. It has been a pleasure to be your moderator because you have worked very hard, and I wish the best collaboration amongst members and with the European institutions. I appreciate your effort because it has been very difficult to know what the challenges, your challenges are. So I think I will be the most synthetic moderator because I have just one slide. And this is also because I don't know if you know that MEPs, members of European Parliament, and also commissioners, when they are in the session in Strasbourg, they have just 2 minutes for speaking. Commissioners 4 minutes. So, okay, here you are the result in a very synthetic scheme. So, you as a stakeholder work for people in need. And the most difficult challenge has been to be aware of your needs when working with European institutions. So, the first goal has been, the first need has been the recognition of the right to food. This recognition have arisen as a conceptual concern and a political goal. So the action proposed is to present a position paper on the right to food and an event at the European Parliament with MEPs and ONGs. So this is very important because it's very because it is in the EU agenda, the right to food, and is in the political agenda. It is very important that you know very well the European Parliament as institution, the stages, the peak moments in which you can influence legislation, okay? And it is very important that you present this need, no, of the right to food, okay? So you have to, you should share together your position on this right, and try to write a paper, a position paper, which can be presented to MEPs. And in order to get their support, also the support of the political groups. So the need of building alliance, capacity building skills, the FEBA role representation, the different strategies that you can decide, okay, is another important need that is covered by the goals, legislation and policies EU project, okay. In my presentation was very useful for me to know that you don't know very well the European context. You don't know very well what the European Parliament is, the European Commission, how they work with people. There is just a separation between citizens and institutions. So it is very important that you find the way and to connect these two worlds. That's why it's very important to create or to set up a skills center in FEBA. So, dear President, I think you have to multiply staff. Because it's so much work, so much work. So the concrete actions could be to boost the EU working group activity that I think it already exists, to organize seminars on the food waste and, for example, and European Social Fund Plus, okay? But not only on this, because the problem is that you don't know very well how the European Union works. So I think there is a lot of job, a lot of seminars just to know how this works. And the last one is the common projects. For this, it's important that you know what you need, because what I found in my presentation is the difficulty that you have to identify your needs and how you can connect these needs with the European proposals, with the European institutions. As I said, I am sorry, I am very synthetic, just maybe for my work, I don't know. And this is my presentation. So now I ask my participants to stand up. And thank you very much for the work.
Thank you very much, Immaculada. I would like now to introduce you to Daniela Bernacchi, who is going to give her presentation about the works of her table. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me thank you. It's my first experience here in FEBA. I really enjoyed. I would like to thank for the invitation the President and Angela Frigo and all the staff that did an outstanding work, and also to thank Banco Alimentare and particularly Marco Lucchini for the opportunity of inviting me here today. So our table is fundraising direct marketing. So the first challenge we faced was that we had to talk about direct marketing individuals. So we had to understand which was the topic. That's why we had an overview of the most important direct marketing trends, the tips to increase redemption and margins and revenues, and difficulties. So we had a long session on sharing experience, what works in our country, what doesn't work, and how to improve what we were doing. Of course, also, not only we had to understand that we were supposed to be focused on direct marketing, but also the size of the countries are different. So some countries are just starting, and some other are big with huge amount and interesting amount of fundraising. So it's difficult to find a common ground on which to discuss. I really would like to thank the participants because they discuss a lot, they engage, they make the effort, and they were not all fundraisers. The majority of them, 68%, were board member or other role in the companies, which is even harder. So, doesn't go? Okay, in the first day after this introduction, we defined the challenges. So far we were still democratic, so we let everyone explain. And the first challenge we found was positioning and creativity. Do we want to talk about hunger? Do we want to talk about food waste? How do we fundraise? Do we segment the targets according to the priority we have? And then another challenge we had is donor relationship. Loyalty is so much important. Once we get an individual donor, we don't want to lose him. So how do we increase retention in our database? How do we make them feel happy to donate to us and share the mission we have. So the third challenge is database, because do we have one marketing database, which is not the same as we were talking before, because we're talking individual people. So social demo information, but as well behavior in terms of donation, but not only. Do they belong a club? Do they give to other charities? How do they donate? What do they like most? This is very important in order to select the people we want to target when we're talking about direct marketing. And then we had a new challenge that is new fundraising channels. We can't avoid talking about new channels because they're there. So digital fundraising is coming, social and community are there. So how do we integrate these channels to the direct marketing? And then we are in an environment challenge. We had the new law on privacy, data protection regulation, so the environment outside us can change and modify the way we make fundraising, and we have to be compliant with it. Or internal challenge for FEBA. Do we share enough? Which are the difficulties we have as FEBA members, how FEBA can help us in our direct marketing or fundraising overall. So then we have to restrict these 6 challenges, and with the group work, we divided the 3 we wanted to concentrate it on, and then again, deep dive on the goals, and then deep dive on the actions. So this is the first goal we decided. Standard FEBA framework for fundraising. Again, we need FEBA. Establish a fundraising working group, and FEBA has the power to convene and to help the member that can meet on an ordinary basis, sharing best practice, but also follow educational activity on fundraising, can help in choosing external agencies specialized and skilled in fundraising that could work also on international level. Maybe we have efficiency of cost if we share the same campaign. So we make efficiency and we can also improve the margins. Define a toolkit for fundraising. When we're talking about fundraising, there is a tone of voice, right? Do we want to dramatize? Do we want to feel the people guilty? So we have a toolkit, and we share the same way we approach the donors when we ask for money, because again, fundraising has a lot to do also with reputation. The way you approach the donors, Laura was saying also, reputation in the net is important, but also in the paper is important, because the way you talk to people, it's your brand going out, so you have to be careful. And then database, as long as I know, it's a fundamental tool for fundraising, because you have to update your donor base, where they live, for instance. If not, your mail will go in the junk. And also all the information that can increase the redemption where you are doing your fundraising activity. The more you know, the better the results in your fundraising activity. When did they make the donation? Which cause? A specific campaign? How can I prospect similar targets to get the same result? So goal 2, new fundraising channel, as I said, integrate direct marketing that so far is still the best channel to fundraise, to digital and other channels. So define a common marketing strategy for all members could be interesting, but also how to integrate and to increase the power of our message. So use offline and online creativity in hashtag at the same level. Find specialized agencies that could help us. If we don't have a digital fundraising, don't imagine how to do it and find someone that is more free this afternoon, because once it's published, it's out, so be careful. And find ambassador to work on the net. Why not? Someone that can help and that people can trust. So with FEBA together, we can really optimize the energies, the knowledge, and the experience we're making in fundraising as well. And then the third challenge we choose is external environment. We talked about a lot about it, but then we decided to include what I'm talking to you about, improve and encourage fiscal benefits for donation. What does it mean? You all know that if you make a donation to a charity, it's tax deductible. And the question is, countries are experiencing different level of fiscal benefit. How can we improve this fiscal benefit? And first of all, we have to inform and share ourselves about the state of the art, how the different country works. Then we are asking, because we are very challenging, to lobby at European level to improve fiscal benefit for donation, for fundraising. And then also compare the way we communicate, because if we communicate there is an advantage at fiscal level, maybe we can also help the redemption for our individual donors. I would say not only for this direct marketing channel that we are talking about, but also for all the other channels. Think about corporation, big company. If you communicate properly the benefit of a donation, maybe they are more willing to help you in your mission and in your cause. So these are the 3 challenges, 3 goals and actions as a group. The other 3 challenges were talked a lot, but at the end we decided not to go in deep dive with all the challenges. Maybe with another days we could. And that's the group. And I would like to give them a special thanks, because they really listened to me. Sometimes they stared at me, she's crazy, and then I divided them and make them color, and then individual homework. But I hope they enjoyed it. I learned a lot from them. And I ask you to stand up and really thank to all of you that made it possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniela. And I would like now to invite Antonio Oliva, whom my group disturbed quite a bit, because we had only a very thin separation between the 2 rooms, and so there may have been some pollution there.
Okay, FEBA friends and stakeholders, good afternoon. The job that I have to do with the group as moderator has been really facilitated by the contribution that I received by colleagues. Gaetan from Belgium, Herbert from Austria, Federico from Italy, Arta from Albania, Jacques from France, Giovanni from Italy, Cristina from Lithuania, Igor by Moldova. And furthermore, the group demonstrated a lot of interest in sharing what currently is in place in represented countries. For this reason, also, the Spanish friends has reached us this morning, because yesterday they didn't have the possibility to stay with the group, and therefore we asked them to come and to give us the most key facts of what happened in Spain, due to the interest of the results that they receive with the Food National Collect. I have a very simple slide if I compare with what has been presented by other colleagues. But believe me, the action that the group has identified is a key challenge for all of us, a key challenge for FEBA. Before going to the action, the group has evaluated that it's important to share with all of you key elements of what happened right now, coming out from the projects that we have evaluated yesterday and in a small piece this morning with France. First of all, the education is one of the main key facts on which we are paying a lot of attention currently, addressing mainly the awareness of the social people to improve their availability to take care of the needs of the poor. This is one element that each of us has evaluated the key point to make the success of the food collection day. The second one, we must have, and we have in place already, some effective communication programs involving media, any kind of possibility through radio, through website, and also having all around the countries some events just to promote the activity and the event of the food collection day. Doing that, the volunteers are the resources on which we count to make effectiveness during the contact with consumers. Not having volunteers very determined in asking for donation, sometimes the results could be less than when volunteers are really convinced that they have to ask to consumers to be with the others, to share the need of poverty. The transparencies and visibility are two facts that allow us to have the trust of the retail chain, but also of the people that arriving at the supermarket sometimes ask to us, what do you do with the product that I am donating to you? And we must have a very clear answers, because this is very important that donors are convinced that we do that just for a social matter, just to solve in a small way the demand of the poor that flock to our doors. Quality and quantity are important, and currently we have a very good results in improvement of quality, because the awareness of people has moved them to donation of food for babies, of oil, of some products that normally we don't receive from the surplus of industry or retailers. The food collection, when we put the attention on, is the food collection really related to the mission of the food bank? Because this is a kind of matter on which we dispute a lot. And the group has defined that no conflict. The food process, the food collection is a complementary process, because the real mission of food bank, of course, we have to fight waste, but first of all, we have to feed hunger. Therefore, any kind of processes that we can put in place help us to give a better answer to the demand that is increasing day by day. After that, we come to the action. I said that is a real challenge, because we are asking to FEBA and to President to evaluate the possibility to make that what happened in different way and in different days in countries become a real one European food collection event. We discussed about data. Currently, there are several choices around the 13 countries that manage the process. And we think that we want to try to force all members to make only one choice, even if we recognize that this could be an issue due to some local calendar, due to some retail interests, and also Christmas that is close to the time that now we use for the college. But really, we have to discuss, we have to think about this. It's important that if it becomes an European project, it has only one date, or at least only 1 week in a frame, very short. But this is important because we have to make a national European great communication campaign. I don't will say that if it happens, we can have the same answers that the Teleton has. But if really move to such important event with a great improvement on communication battle, communication messages, and so on, could be that we can reach a higher results compared with what we bring up to now. To do that, to improve more what we need, is necessary that FEBA establish some relationship, some agreement with the most important European multinational companies and also with the largest retail companies. It could be, in some cases, a kind of short conflict with what happened at country level, but this should be just a kind of umbrella, a frame on which the country flexibility could be also have some space, some possibility to be applied if we are to get in touch with the smaller retail chain, with some other national organization and so on. But having one frame, having one reference, we can also replicate for small retailers. Common tools. We have now a great need. First of all, related to the data collection, and the second one related to the education. Each country has in place some education campaign for volunteers, but we have surely convinced that only having volunteers that are not only trained on the process, on the operation, how to fill up the boxes, how to select the can, how to select the products and so on, we can improve a lot. Mainly to transfer to consumers the awareness of donation, the significance of the don. They have to move their soul, their behavior. They don't have to ask, please fill up the bag, but they have to stay with poor, stay with us, help us to give the answer, the best answer that we can do. Large European campaign, I said already, and last point, but not the least, the innovation. I know, and we have also some tests in some countries to experiment the online collection. The e-commerce is improving. The e-commerce is the future. Therefore, through FEBA and with the help of most large countries, we have to evaluate if some retailers, some chain that already have in place this application, this way to to buy products, they have to open to us the possibility to enlarge what we are doing now with the standard project and open the door also to having the possibility to a special target of people that make their expenses, their supply to, through the web, to allow us to make the same. These are our proposals. I don't know if it's for you satisfying or not, but I hope so, and I invite President to discuss a lot about that, because really we have to move all together to succeed in that. Please, my colleague, to stand up, and thanks a lot to all of them.
Very impressive. Thank you very much. The next person to report is Domenico.
Good pronunciation.
Please go ahead.
Yes. So good afternoon to everybody. Thanks to all members of my group, because we made a big, very, very big work together. Part of my group helped me also to write on the board and summarize something. So we are really go together. So I'm really happy about that. And what we did, sorry. We start taking into consideration the research made by Politecnico di Milano, that we heard something at the initial of our annual convention. Go to this research, we try to make some consideration in where we are and maybe in where we want to go. After that, we also try go deep where we are and what are our opportunities and what are our risks. So after 2 days of very, very strong job, we could summarize our results in mainly in two big challenges. One is related to align the interest of operation of food bank and manufacturing together in order to remove as much as possible the barriers, okay, in order to really transform our collaboration. It's not an B2B in a old view, I mean, but it's a new view, like a part of a system. So this was really interesting. Identify these goals for us. What kind of action we can use, we can apply to reach this, I mean, very challenge goal for us? The first is the analysis of the business needs and regarding to the food company. Another most discussed was regarding to build our capacity, sharing process, and build very good data. And another point that we work a lot was regarding to the analysis of cost of donating surplus food versus dumping, or selling for other use. No, we try to understand how we can put together not only the food manufacturers but also other company that go, for example, anaerobic digestion or just produce feed. No, so could be I mean an integration of also this part, because maybe if we understand well this, we can go together in the same way in order to rescue more food. Create effective communication and marketing tools, because reputation is important. Is a lot of things that my colleagues say before me are, I mean, vertical, horizontal side about our sector. So also for the industry sector, create a good communication and a good visibility of our activities and action that we have to improve. And another is a sharing experience. Put the people together, so allow that food company could do. I know that most of them do that with the corporate volunteering, but could be interesting also vice versa, in order to go together. So this our first point. Basically, we call this integration. Okay. Second is regarding to innovate. The cooperation between food industry and food bank in the operational side, but also in the relationship side. What's about the operational side? We discuss that company are going to be hopefully more efficient. So they are reducing, especially industry, they are reducing the products, the production of surplus food in some way. Okay, so we identify that try a way to transform something that could be waste in food for people, could be a very challenging goal to achieve. And some action, because we wrote a really long list of action, and I can share it. For sure I share with all the participants, but just to want to put in together the main representative action. Okay, one is create partnership between, for example, who gave the raw materials, the ingredient, and manufacturing, distributor, and food banks together. And another action, maybe the most important, is run a pilot scheme and try to do these things and then scale, not run at maximum velocity. The other goal is innovate the way of recovering distributing food surpluses by using technology. In this part it was really interesting, and we make a lot of example. For example, one very interesting is regarding, because we're talking about also that we have problem to cost problem to move something from one place in another. Okay, so for example, could be interesting create a partnership with an European or international logistics that are able to give us, for example, I have a little space in my truck that go to this place to the other. Why not we can use that space were unsold? So why we cannot use that space to send our product in our warehouse or to charities? Why not? Okay, and the other goals is regarding the cost of donation. And the action mainly go around first advocacy, especially for and in this way I said that that meeting that we have at the beginning of our group was really interesting regarding to the EU guidelines, because it's a way, in some way, to advocacy. But we talk a lot about tax, and so we say that this kind of action is really important for us. And the other that could be help to reduce cost could be align the IT system. For example, the use of the same barcode in order to have the same information at the same time together could be a very good reduction. So this is our results. And I want to ask to my group if please stand up, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the moderators. You did a fantastic job. You basically wrote the strategic plan for FEBA for the next 10 years. So that's going to make our job very easy for the president's meeting. Before we release those who will not participate to the president's meeting, I would like, first of all, to ask the presidents who are also member of the FEBA board to invite their colleague from their country so that they will act there as board member of FEBA. I don't want to be alone there. And so that their colleague will represent their country. So to give them basically a proxy to represent their country. The second thing is that there are a few technical arrangement that Angela would like to make, and then I'll take the floor again to thank a few persons. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, now we will have the president's meeting here in this room until 4:30. For all the other participants, please have a rest, relax. You can have coffee, some sweets, and then we will have the closing session here in the auditorium at 5 o'clock. Then Okay, so as you know, this evening we will have the dinner and then the visit of the Vatican Museum. So buses are going to leave from here. So everybody is going to leave from this hotel, not from the other one, at 6:15. It's very important to be on time because otherwise it will be a mess. So please be ready at 6:15 here outside. And then, so we are going to the Vatican Museum, we will have dinner, then the visit, and at the end of the visit, we will have the buses to come back to the hotel, so Villa Aurelia and also San Juan at 10:15. Again, please be on time here when we are leaving for the Vatican Museums, and also when we will leave the Vatican Museums to come back to the hotels. This is very important. And outside, you will find the list of people for each bus. So we will have 3 different buses, so please have a look, check in which bus you are, and you will be on the same bus when we will go to the Vatican Museum and also back. So just check if you are bus number 1, 2, or 3. Then the second one. For tomorrow, as you know, we will have the private audience with the Pope. So for those of you that wish to make a donation for the poor people, for people in need, there's the possibility to make a donation. It's a free donation, so don't feel obliged to make a donation. And we are also collecting private messages for the Pope. So if you want to write something to the Pope, you will find outside at the desk a box where you can put your message.
This will be censored. No, please don't write anything. It will be, no, we need to see what you sent to the Pope.
Then another important announcement. So we need your signature. So the European Union is sometimes is a little bit complex, but we ask you a very simple action. So just sign the list of attendance here outside. We know that 40 people did not sign this morning. We know who you are. So please, and we know where you live. We have your ID card and passport. So please go outside and just sign. We are not asking money, but just a signature. So please, no, well, I was joking. No, really, it's very important. So please sign the list. Here. See. And last but not least, so we are working together. We are working together these days. I'm going to ask you it's a very simple action for our colleagues and friends of of the food bank from the Czech Republic. So they were selected for an award linked to the SDGs. So just click on this website and vote for the food bank of the Czech Republic, please.
Just a moment, please.
We will send you an email with the link, so you just have to click and vote.
Okay, before you leave, before you leave, as I said, I would like to make just. I think this year, I think everybody. I mean, from what I've heard so far, everybody is pretty happy about the convention, and I must stress that we, as FEBA, are particularly honored to have welcomed here top representatives of the outside of Europe world. And I would like to again say many, many thanks to Alan Gilbertson from GFN to be here. We have the chairman of the board of GFN. This is quite an event for FEBA. Claire Babineau-Fontenot, CEO of Feeding America, the mother of food banking in the world. And also we have a very distinguished delegation from Mesa Brazil, I think, the food banks from Brazil. So I would like you to join me in giving them a big round of applause for their support. So the presidents and their colleagues who are going to attend the meeting, I'm sorry, but you have to stay.